Thank you so much, guys, for joining us this evening. We are happy and delighted to discuss this topic with you. And before we go any further, we'd like to bow our heads and thank God for this opportunity. Let's pray. Our dear Heavenly Father, we are thankful for the gift of life, for the gift of one another, and for the gift of everyone who's watching us. Our dear Heavenly Father, we invite you into this place. We ask for your guidance. We ask you to take us through, everlasting Jehovah. May this be a well of wisdom and knowledge that we may be able to teach one another. May you take us through and may you guide us. In Jesus' name we do pray, trusting and believing. Amen. Yes, so thank you so much, guys, who've tuned in. If you've come in, please drop the fire emoji. My name is Alice Nganga, a relationship manager here at Savo. And today I'm joined by the very, very able Lewis. Lewis, who is a lawyer at FMC. Lewis, introduce yourself.
Thanks so much, Alice. So hi, everyone who's tuned in. My name is Lewis Donga. I'm a lawyer at FMC Advocates. FMC Advocates is a law firm that mainly deals with commercial transactions, corporate issues, land-related matters, real estate conveyancing, and which is why I am so happy to join you here today, Alice. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Lewis, for coming. So guys, in the last webinar that we did, we told you guys that we'll be planning a lot of informative content for you this quarter. So please always tune in to our Wednesday weekly webinars. So today we're going to do about land search in Kenya, but also next week we have a very informative webinar on tax. We'll be educating you on the new Finance Act. So please ensure to join. And this is not only these 2 Wednesdays, it is each and every Wednesday of this quarter. So kindly join. And also we talked about our subscribers. We can see now we're at 2,300. Please guys, please subscribe. We're on the journey to 3,000. Kindly subscribe. Yes, and then remember to subscribe and also drop your fire emoji if you've already come in. Let's see, Lewis, who is in the building before we begin. Yes. So I can see Sam, who's dropped a fire emoji. Thank you so much, Sam. I can see Willie Nyayo, who's also dropped the fire emoji. Thank you. I can see Caroline Ngeno, who's an investor. Thank you, Carol, who's dropped the fire emoji. I can see Faith Linda. Hi, Faith, who's also dropped the fire emoji. I can see Gloria, who's also dropped the fire emoji. Thank you. Also tell us where you're watching us from. It's also good to know where you're at. So I can also see Fabrice, who's also said, hi everyone, I'm Nancy and happy to be here. Hi. I can see Victoria, who's also dropped the fire emoji. I can see Ryan dropping the fire emoji. Thank you so much, Ryan. And I can see Fidel Mwaki, who's also dropped the fire emoji. So as I said earlier, today we will be talking about land search in Kenya. So we've done a lot of webinars that are very educative about just the real estate space in Kenya. We know sometimes it's a murky space. People are afraid of joining, but we are here to just enable you begin your financial independence journey. We're here to help you understand the legal terms, to help you understand due diligence, to help you understand the documents. And now today we're going to be doing the land search process in Kenya. So kindly remember that this is all about your final journey, that we're here to hold your hand to make it as simple and as elaborate as it should be for you. So please, as you drop your fire emojis, also send in your questions. Anything that is not quite understandable about land search, please ask us. We're here to be able to assist you. And now into the gist of it. So Lewis, what exactly is land search?
So I think this is an important topic for, guys at Savo to be aware of, investors to be aware of. And yes. I think it really furthers the conversation that you had previously regarding due diligence. Yes. So land search is now an aspect of due diligence where a potential investor decides that they need to investigate or inspect the legal title of the property that they're intending to buy. So this usually involves a process where you want to determine who am I dealing with legally. I need to understand that with this prospective purchase that I want to make, I need to feel comfortable. I need to feel that if I decide to invest in this, I know who I'm dealing with, and this person is the right person in this legal transaction for me to be dealing with. Yeah.
So thank you so much, Lewis, for that. So you remember when we did due diligence, we said do your land search, do your homework. So as we talk about and explain further about what is land search in Kenya and how do you go about it and what are you expected to find. So this is part of you doing your homework before you put your very hard-earned money, be it in a property or be it in just purchase of land. So here at Savo, as you try to purchase a unit, will you do your homework? So we just want to explain to you how you will do your land search. So you've told us it is just basically doing your homework on the land.
Yeah.
So I have gotten a title. So I want to invest. I have gotten a title of the project. I have taken, now I want to do the land search. So how do I go about it?
So I think even before we sort of discuss the sort of procedures, it's very important for you to understand why is this, why is the conversation that a prospective investor needs to be having.
Yes.
And so with any purchase of any property, be it land or its apartments, there's 3 key aspects that you as an investor would want to feel safe and comfortable with.
Yes.
So the first thing is that you would want to know that the person who is saying that they are selling me ABCD property is actually the registered owner of this property.
Yes.
Secondly, you'd want to know that the property that they are intending to sell me is actually what exists within the registry, within the legal regime.
Yes.
And the final thing you'd want to say is that there is nobody else has another interest over this property, which is what I will be calling moving forward an encumbrance.
Yes.
So for example, nobody has taken a loan out using this property.
Yeah.
So those are important aspects that you then use, or that is the purpose of you having actually trying to obtain a land search. So you're trying to find out who is the registered owner of the property.
Yes.
This property that they are purporting to sell, is this the rightly registered property? And then that also sort of looks into the size of the property.
Yes.
If they're telling me they're selling me an acre,
yes,
is this actually an acre?
Yes.
And then also determining, does anybody else have an interest over the property, which is called an encumbrance? Has somebody taken out a loan?
Yes.
Is there maybe a lease that's existing that maybe you'd want to, and these are very important things that as a potential investor, this is information you need to have.
Yes.
Yeah.
So exactly as we say, even the real estate industry is quite murky. Please do your homework. You can't, you really need to do your part, because there is a part of the developer, there is a part of the person who's selling you the land, but there is what is your obligation. And here, what is your obligation in today's topic is doing a land search. Yeah. So you've already explained to us what maybe you would find red flags. So how do you go about it? So you've already gotten a title to a property. Before you even find these encumbrances, you find these things that you don't want to see. Yeah. How do you go about it as an investor?
Thanks, Alice. So ideally what you would do is you would actually do a process that we call obtaining an official search.
Yes.
Or what perhaps in the field we call getting a manual search.
Yes.
So this usually entails submitting several documents to the relevant registries. So for example, if you're buying a property that's, let's say, in Kiambu, then you would be submitting several documents to the Kiambu Lands Registry, just as an example. So one of the documents that you would need to fill in and submit is called an application for an official search, which I believe you are seeing on your screens right now.
Yes, yes.
So this application for an official search is basically the main document that you will be filling in, and you would basically be saying the title number of the property that you want to buy.
Yes.
You also be specifying the scope of what you are seeking the search for, either to determine the property section, or determine who owns the property and the encumbrances that are present. It also includes another section where you would basically be requesting that, explaining, not really in so much in detail, but explaining why you're obtaining this search. And then accompanying this document, you will need to give out a copy of the original title. So that's why, for example, in majority of the scenarios, investors usually ask for a copy of the title that you have, so that when we are undertaking this land search process, we are submitting the correct documents. So together with an application for an official search, you will then take together with a copy of the original title. And these documents will be submitted at the lands registry. Okay. Yeah.
Lewis, before you go any further, just for the investors to really understand, when you're filling in this application form, does it give you a guidance on, or is it you to tell them what you really want to know, or is it designed in a way that it's able to really tell you all the things you need to know, or do you really have to ask in detail as you fill the form?
I think with the format with the form, it's quite clear. It's quite clear. It's for example, it has a specific section where it says you fill in the title number. That's a very clear part. It's not really too complicated that you would not be in a position to do it yourself. Once and I believe viewers can see it on the screen. Once you are in possession, or when you've seen this form,
yes,
it becomes very easy for you to just fill in all the necessary fields.
Yes.
And there's also some easy parts where you just need to tick.
Where you need to tick.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's an easy document to use. So it's not going to be complicated for
It's
anyone
not
who wants to do a
It's not complicated.
Okay. Thank you so much, Lewis. Before we go any further, let's see who else has joined us. I can also see Dennis Nyanaro, who's also joined us and dropped the fire emoji. Thank you so much, Dennis. I can see Cynthia Cheruto, who is a regular here. Thank you so much, Cynthia, who's also dropped the fire emoji. I can see Moses Maina, who's dropped the fire emoji. Thank you so much, Moses. I can see Purity, who's saying, I'm Purity Mwinja from Nyeri. Thank you so much, Purity. I can see Diana Moiruri, who's also dropped the fire emoji. I can also see Donna, who's saying, nice to see you, Lewis. Good job. Kindly, guys, continue to drop in your fire emojis and continue to ask us any questions you might have as we continue with the discussion. So you've already explained to me. So if I am in Kiambu, I will take my application form to the Kiambu Lands Registry.
Yes.
And then in terms of estimation, would we know how long it takes? So I have given out my application form. I've also given them a copy of the title on which I want the search conducted. What are the timelines? We know government offices sometimes,
Yeah.
just decide to take some very sweet time. So, but what are the timelines for someone to expect, maybe roughly?
Yeah, I think, again, as the way you've stated with government offices,
yes,
it's sometimes very difficult to say that you will get it within 2 weeks,
yes,
you will get it within, but usually with a straightforward, the straightforward search that does not have too many complicated
yes,
issues, it shouldn't take too long, a week to 2 weeks.
And
if a search that's just clear and direct because it's just tracing the file and doing a few things.
Yes.
So it's really not something that should take too long, but you might find in some scenarios, of course, now there are some delays here and there that might be occasioned, that maybe make it take a bit longer if there's any issues perhaps at the registry itself.
Yes.
But ideally, it's not a complicated and long process. It should be very fast for you to obtain.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Lewis, for that. So I've already gone to my registry. I have already submitted the documents. I have done my homework as I was supposed to do. I am a new investor. This probably is my first unit to invest in, or maybe I am young like some of us.
Yeah.
So this is the first property I am buying. So after these 2 weeks have elapsed, what do I expect to get and how do I get it? Is it mailed to me? Do I have to go and collect it? But what exactly do I get and how does it come to me?
Okay, so once your application is successful and it goes through,
yes,
so what you expect is either that you will get a certificate of official search, which I think our viewers will be seeing on our screen right now.
Yes.
So this basically is a certificate that's being issued by the relevant lands registry.
Yes, yes.
It's usually stamped and it's sealed and it's signed. And it normally specifies the title, the specific title number for the property.
Yes.
And then it specifies who is registered in the file that the registry has, who is registered as the owner, or as the more legal difficult term is proprietor.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Who is registered as the owner of the property and what's the approximate area and the approximate size. It also then specifies what I was calling an encumbrance, or who has another interest over this property.
Yeah, yeah.
If there is in the register, it's registered that somebody took out a loan with this property, it's written very clearly that a charge has been taken out over this property to this specific lender. So all those details are included in that certificate of official search, and it is sealed, signed, and stamped, and it's issued to you, showing that this, basically saying this is the content of the register that you had applied for. On the other inverse, you can also get a certified copy of the original title. So other than getting that certificate of official search, what the lands registry would do is that they would take the original title that they have on the register, make a copy of it, the entire title, and then at the very end, they would stamp and say that this is a certified copy of the original, and then they would sign, such that now what you would do is that remember the original, the copy of the title that you submitted in the first instance. You now need to compare it with the copy that you have obtained
by the registry.
By the lands registry.
Okay. So in simpler terms, what I'm supposed to get from this certificate is I will get who is the owner, what's the address of the owner, any encumbrances that have been charged against this title, and then or either I will get an original copy of the title and I will compare with what I took to the first time to the lands registry. So guys, I hope you're getting the gist of it and this is clear as we continue to move on. But as you've said, that government offices are sometimes, you know, sometimes it will be done in time, sometimes it won't be done on time. And it's such a tedious process that I have to, how do I get these documents? I have to go and collect them myself. Yeah,
usually you would have to collect them yourself. So for example, if you're going through the process yourself, you would have to actually go pick the documents yourself. But for those who perhaps would be maybe a bit more versed with the processes, they're using clerks. The clerks would just pick the documents themselves and then deliver them to you. But they don't actually mail it to you.
They don't. They don't. Clearly, to all our viewers and even to me, it's a very tedious process that I have to take the copy myself. I have to wait for an amount of time I cannot approximate. I don't know how long it's going to take. And then I also have to go collect my results, whether good or bad. So we've heard about a change in regime. The other time we spoke about the titling process. So it looks like the government is trying to change a lot of things in the land space, in the real estate space. So we talked about, for the viewers who don't know what I'm talking about, please go to the videos we did last quarter. There's a video we did on change of regime from the titling regime from sub-leases and now to sectional titles, so that you understand what's the new titling process for properties. So seems like there is also a change in this process of doing land searches. So we're trying to move from this manual process that I have to go to my county registry. So what are we doing now? Or what are we trying to do now?
Yeah, so of course you would understand in Kenya, land is a very emotive issue. It's something that I think has caused so many people joy and pain in equal measure. So I think the government has now seen the importance of now trying to sort of streamline all registries and streamline this land administration and management processes and sort of make it a bit easier for Kenyans to actually access these services. So in line with sort of, I think, the government's initiative to digitalize majority of the services, we've seen their successful efforts with e-Citizen. We've seen their successful efforts with iTax. So they've now come up with sort of what I colloquially call a virtual registry. So this is what is now being called ATISASA. And the intention of the government is to ensure that all usual processes that you usually undertake for land, be they transfers, be they charges, be they searches, all of these processes now ideally should be easily accessible to the normal Kenyan. It would be as easy as logging into a website, filling in a few things, submitting a few things here and there, and then you get to the end process and sort of remove all these issues that normally come in between with delays, with time taking, going, visiting and coming back and all these issues. So this new system that's now currently sort of being rolled out is now known as ATISASA.
So just to get it clear to everyone, I also thought that ATISASA is a lands registry search, but now I get to understand you can do everything you want to do, be it a transfer on ATISASA. That's really brilliant. But is it really accessible to all of us at the moment?
So, so the only challenge now, the only challenge now is that, of course, being a new system, it's still being rolled out. Consider that they now need to convert every single, basically the end goal is to convert every single one of these titles online. So it's a bit of a process. It's going to take a bit of time. So currently it's not live, it's not big. The website is live. You can access and see how the website is operating. But it requires that the government needs to complete this process of conversion. And currently, they are currently doing it with the Nairobi block, which means that they closed the physical registries and are now converting all these title numbers to their, let's say, their digital platforms and issuing new parcel numbers. And the government has been gazetting a lot of new parcel titles with their new parcel numbers, showing that this specific title number has not been converted from their previous physical register and are now on their way towards conversion to the online system. But this system currently is not operational. You cannot actually, at least from our experience, it's not operational. Even with Nairobi block, there's still a few things that need to be operationalized. But we've seen that the website is live, you can interact with it, you can do 1, 2, 3 things with it.
So it's not yet really accessible to all of us.
So it doesn't really actually meet the objectives that you want to do, or actually you can actually do what you need to do with regards to land management or land administration, or trying to figure out what you can actually file with land. But the website is there. You can actually interact with it and see how it's sort of understanding and get a gist of how it's working, of which I personally would advise anyone or investors or anyone who is interested in land issues to sort of go on Adisasa and just see, interact with it, so that it becomes much easier for you once this process has been fully operationalized. It becomes so much easier for you to actually use this site.
Yeah. Thank you so much for really clarifying that. So in the old manual search, I'll need to fill an application form and go with a copy of the title on which I want to conduct a search. Ideally, in this new system, what do I need? Is the process the same? Do I also need to fill an application form and submit what I am trying to search, or how do I go about it?
So the first important point is that with Adisasa, it operates like a portal.
Yes.
So ideally what you need to do is you need to register. You would put in, it's a simple registration, you put in your account, your personal details, and they then open a portal for you on Adisasa. Now, when getting specifically with a search, it's very straightforward. They've dispensed with the application forms. It's as simple as you just entering the parcel number for the property that you want, and adding that parcel number on there's a specific button where it just asks you to add. It then requires you to just specify the scope of why you're seeking for this search, perhaps to ascertain ownership of the property, and then specifying whether you want to inspect perhaps the property section and the owners, the registered owner section and the encumbrances section, and then clicking submit.
Okay.
It is as easy as that.
It's way easier, and it reduces a lot of paperwork and a lot of tediousness. And if you do it on Adisasa, you've already explained it's not up and running, but maybe you would have an idea. How fast, how quick do you get your results on Adisasa?
It would be difficult to estimate, because again we haven't really used this site successfully. But I do not imagine, at least with my experience with the current digital services that we have from the government, in my view it should be nearly instantaneous. It should be a quick, because it's just the system checking through the registers that are present, and then automatically generating what now is a certificate of official search that now will include everything that I had explained earlier, but now basically auto-generated. That will explain, this is the title, this is the title number that you've requested for. This is the registered owner for this property, and this is the size for the property. And then it will specify that this, either or not, if there is somebody has an interest in this property, this encumbrance, it will specify these are the encumbrances.
So in the Adisasa system, I will only get the certificate. I will not get a copy. So that's the difference between the two regimes in terms of outcome of what you will get as a result of your search. So guys, I hope we're getting the gist of it. As we continue, guys, kindly send in your questions. We're here to be able to assist you. We are here to be able to answer any questions or offer any clarifications that you might need. Kindly send in your questions, and we're here to be able to assist. And also, as you drop your fire emojis, also tell us where you're watching us from. Thank you so much, Lewis. As we continue, so you've already explained the process of Adisasa. You've also taught us the manual search process. So what are the red flags? This is what everyone is waiting for. So we've talked about the ideal situation of you will search, you will get a certificate that shows you that the rightful person who sent you to do this search is the one who owns the land. But you've done your search. What really should really take that sixth common sense and tell you, no, something is not okay.
So of course, once there's a desired outcome that you have. That you want in that scenario when you actually conduct and do a search, you want to see that the property owner is the same. You want to see that the size of the property is the same. You want to see that if either there are no encumbrances or if there are any encumbrances, you are aware of them. But then now the inverse could happen. And so the red flags that you would, as an investor, would be very need to be keen on is one, on inspecting either the certificate of official search or inspecting the copy that you've been given of the title. You realize that the person you've been dealing with, who's been saying that they'll be selling you this property, is not actually the registered owner of this property. The name within the registry is very different. This means that, therefore, this person who is purporting to say that I want to sell you this does not have what we call legal title to sell this to you. That means they cannot actually transfer. They can't transfer that which they do not own. Exactly. So a very big red flag then would be, for example, regarding the encumbrances. So for example, you are buying a property with the idea that no one has ever taken a loan out for this property. no one has ever had, nobody else has an adverse interest on this, on this property. And this is what actually the seller has told you. It's told you that this property is fine, there's no other issues, there's nothing extra. Nobody has an extra interest. And then you go and do your processes for the searches, obtain a copy of the title, you obtain a certificate of official search, and then you realize that somebody took out a charge last month over this property. And the charge is maybe to a lender, to a certain bank at 20 million. So then it becomes, okay, even if I am buying this property, I am buying a property together with this loan, because this loan cannot cease to exist simply because I am buying it.
You're buying it, yes.
So now it becomes a challenge that this property is loaned out. Ideally, somebody else has an interest over it, and somebody else should perhaps consent to it being transferred. There's additional documentation that needs to be done and registered that you are not aware of. And it does not really mean that you cannot sell charged property. There is legal process where you can do that. But of course, you as an investor, you'd like to be kept. You'd like to be in the know. You don't want to be kept in the dark on issues that are so important and that affect your right in the property.
As we speak encumbrances, Lewis, you've said you're able to know if the real owner, if the person who's selling this property to you is really the one, and also you're able to know if a title or a property has been charged against a loan. So would you also, is it possible when you do these land searches, is it possible for someone to know, because in Kenya, really there are a lot of succession problems. There are a lot of, this land belongs to your father, now you and your brother are deciding who is going to take it, and it's not a really good situation. Is it possible for people to through the searches, understand if there are any succession battles?
No. So unfortunately, with the way the encumbrance section is, the lands registry will just enter into the encumbrance sections things that have been, transactions that have been registered with it. So for example, with a charge, for you to effect a charge, that is a loan, you would need to take an official document and have this registered at the lands registry. So you see then in that case, if you want to, for example, take out a lease, you need to actually register a lease with the lands registry. But you see with a case, it's a very different, it's an entirely different, system, even arm of government. Because now it's somebody instituting a case, and then the case is heard, and all these processes are happening. There is no point where, for example, the judiciary will interact with the registry. These are two distinct issues. And normally when there's a case or there's a legal claim that's going on property, you can't determine that through a search. So, but this is not really to make investors feel worried or feel scared. So you'll find usually in the legal documentation, you'll find perhaps warranties are included that state that this property is not subject to any legal claim or defending any sort of suit, which sort of is used to keep a buyer or an investor, keep their mind at ease and make them feel comfortable that in the event that this is not the case, I have some legal backing, I have something to lie back on and say, I was given a warranty that there is no legal claim that exists over this property, and now this is not the case. So that one, usually you cannot determine the state, either the existence or how far a legal claim has gone through a search or through the copy of the title. That's not, you cannot really use a search to determine that.
Thank you so much, Lewis, for clarifying that. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Continue sending in your questions so that we're able to assist and to help you understand this market space. I can also see, I can see June Esther Nyambura, who's dropped the fire emoji. Thank you so much, June. I can see Nancy, who's also dropped the fire emoji. Hi, Nancy. I can see Susan Baire, who's saying good job, Lewis. Thank you so much, Susan. I can see Jimmy Kibunja, who's also dropped the fire emoji. I can see Jackie Njiru, who's also sent in the fire emoji. I can see Samuel Othiambo, who's saying, he's dropped the fire emoji and he's saying, glad to be here watching from Nairobi. I can see Diana Moirore, very informative. Thank you, Louis and Esther. Thank you so much, guys, for everyone who's tuned in. Please continue to send in your questions as we're here, ready and able to assist. So you've spoken about the name. You've spoken about the name of the person who's transacting, who's doing this transaction for you, versus the person who's on this title. You've also spoken about charges against the title. What else is a red flag?
So another red flag perhaps would be the size. So for example, in a certificate of official search, it will specify the specific size of the property. So assume you have a situation where somebody is purporting to sell you property, and they're telling you, I'm selling you this property is 4 acres.
Yes.
And that's what they want you to. They just want you to go with it and pay for 4 acres.
Yes.
But then when you do your search, you realize the property that this person actually, the owner could be the same person.
Yes.
But the section or the actual property that they own is much less than 4 acres. So the question then becomes, how am I going to buy 4 acres if at all what you own is only a specific section of this property? So that's another red flag where you're checking on the size, because again, you also when somebody is placing an amount as purchase price, they're definitely looking at the size that they are selling you. So if the size does not correlate, if the size that they're selling you does not correlate with the size within the register itself, then that's definitely a red flag.
Any other?
I think that those basically would be the most.
They're the main ones.
They're the main ones that you would really need or really want to look out for.
Yes.
Just in case you don't have a situation where now you've got into an agreement or a transaction with a person who cannot really sell you this, or that somebody else has an adverse interest over that property.
So guys, if you're doing your homework, you want to do your land search, please ensure that the name of the person who's selling you the property matches what is in the title that you have been given. Number 2, also ensure that there are no encumbrances on the title. As Lewis has explained in layman's language, there is nothing charged against the title, and if it is charged, you have an answer to it. Why is it like this? So you're selling me a property, but I can see you've taken out a 20 million loan on it. What's the plan? So you need to ask these questions. You need to ensure, if you had not been told anything at the beginning, that it really doesn't have a charge against it. And also he said that the third one is the size of the property you're being sold. So what you were told, or what has been the sales pitch for this kind of transaction, should be the same as what shows in the title that you have been given. So I have found either one of these that is very crucial for me, or maybe the name is correct, the property size is correct, but I realize it's charged. This property that I'm buying is charged something. Maybe I'm buying a property worth 2 million, but charged on a loan of 5 million, which is over, and it's really questionable. So I have done, or maybe you're telling me your name is Lewis, but on the search it says you're Elvis or someone else, or maybe the size of the property you're selling me just doesn't match. Either the 3 of them or any one of them. I am not happy. And being in the real estate world, you think this is someone after my money, this is someone after my really hard-earned money, or this is someone who just wants to fix me and then disappear, and then I'll never see them again. So what do I do?
So of course, with risks, there's always ways that you can mitigate them.
Yes.
So maybe let me start with charges.
Yes.
So for example, usually you'll find with property, it's normally charged at least to the value of the property.
Yes.
Usually a bank will rarely, I haven't seen that scenario where a bank will give you a charge for more than what the property is worth, because ideally if you default on the charge, then they exercise their right and they sell the property, then they would be going at a loss. Because the value of the property is less. And people are usually, you'll find investors who are okay with buying properties that are charged. If they are kept in the know and they are fine with it. And if they are okay with a charge existing over the property, then they can have the interest in the property transferred together with the charge. Such that them ideally would then take up the loan. And they would continue with the obligations under that charge. Or you'd find a scenario perhaps where you now discuss with the vendor, and you say that we now need to figure out a way to settle this loan before I get this property. And vendor might be agreeable and say no problem. We need to discharge this property first before I can transfer it to you. And that usually entails the vendor or the person who'd taken out the loan paying out the loan and saying that to clear the property and then register what is known as a discharge. And a discharge is now just official documentation that shows that the loan obligations have been fully fulfilled, and that now this property is free. You can now it's no longer encumbered. If, for example, let's say maybe in the encumbrances section, they also normally include leases, they register leases. So if, for example, there's a lease there's now a lease, there's somebody else who now has an interest. Ideally, you'd also want to see the documentation that that was signed between the the vendor now who's selling you the property, and the person that they are leasing this property to. Because then perhaps in your end, maybe you do not want to continue leasing. Maybe that's something that you don't want to continue doing, and you need to now see how best can you proceed moving forward. Do you need to terminate this lease, which is an option? You can decide. On my end, when I was buying this property, I was not intending on leasing this property to anyone. I wanted to use it for my own personal use, and therefore I do not want to keep leasing it out. I don't want to keep leasing it out to you. Do we then terminate the lease, and then the property is, and then we release it we release this lease from the encumbrance, and then you now have it transferred to you properly. Or if you're comfortable with leasing it, and maybe you're comfortable with the terms of the agreement that were entered between the person who's selling you the property and the person who is the lessee, so to speak, then you can continue leasing it out. You can continue with the obligations without it really being too much of an issue. Considering perhaps a scenario where now the registered owner is not, the names are different. This one is now an entirely different ballgame. It's a very, it could be an issue. So ideally this would need you first to speak, first step at least is first speak to the person selling you the property and ask, why is it that the name that's here is not your name? They could have various reasons. For example, they could have the registry that's there was closed, therefore we've not managed to do a transfer, we've not managed to transfer this property. It could be that this property is subject to succession, and there's a few things that we need to do. It could be that I've already paid, but there's a few processes pending. And it's not really always a situation of somebody trying to defraud you. It's a situation where maybe there are unforeseen circumstances that have sort of made things stall. And if you are then explained, if this is explained to you clearly, you can then now go to the next step and figure out in the documentation that I think you had highlighted in your previous webinars, the agreement for sale. How then can we best protect? How then can we best protect the investor? How best can we say that, despite the fact that perhaps the registered owner at this stage is not actually the person who is selling the property, how best can we protect them? We can decide, we can be very specific and say, for example, for somebody who's already paid the amounts, we can say that they are actually what we call a beneficial owner over the property. So a beneficial owner is somebody who has acquired a right over this property by the virtue of the fact that they've actually paid for it. It's just that the legal processes that are pending are not yet completed, such that you will find somebody, the person who is registered on the title is known as the legal owner. And the person maybe who has paid but hasn't really managed to complete and finish these transfers and register everything is the beneficial owner. And perhaps you'd want that to be clear and make it clear that it's clear that I have not managed to complete and get full, complete the transactions and get full registration of this in my name. Perhaps we've also seen situations where somebody might want to perhaps give warranties that once that they are actually in the process, and they're doing their best to make sure that they speed up this process so that they can then become the actual legal owner, the registered owner, and then they can now have proper title to actually sell it to you. You'd also find situations where they are maybe investors would want, perhaps we can put specific targets. Where we say, I'll come back to you after 4 months, tell me how far you are. I'll come back to you after 6 months, tell me how far you are. If after a while I'm not comfortable or I'm not happy with the transaction, then we can figure out the way forward. But the best way perhaps to mitigate majority of these risks, especially in a situation where the registered owner is not the person who is selling you the property, is to mitigate these risks within the documentation itself. So that at least you're made to feel a bit more comfortable that the vendor is acknowledging that I am not actually the registered owner, but we are in the process of completing all these transactions. And once we are done with this, once we've managed to do A, B, C, D, then we now proceed with all these processes. So you'd want to connect sort of these to sort of mitigate all of these risks within the documentation itself. And that's perhaps one of the best ways you can do this. You can mitigate the risk. Of course, in a very extreme, completely extreme case, if you're absolutely not comfortable with the contents of a search, and you do not want to, and you don't feel comfortable or happy with the transaction, then you would then perhaps now terminate the transaction and say, I'm not comfortable dealing with despite maybe any proposals to
Yes.
try and mitigate the risks,
Yes.
I'm still not comfortable proceeding. I'm still not comfortable continuing on with this.
Yes.
I'd like to terminate this transaction where it is.
Yes.
And then we sort of retain, we put things back to the position where they were.
Yes, yes,
If
yes.
amounts were paid, amounts are refunded, and then we just close the transaction as it is. But that's an extreme case.
Extreme case,
Yeah,
yes.
it's an extreme case, which in that, which you would try as best as possible to see the transaction through and
Yes,
not just terminate
yes,
in the first
yes, yes,
instance.
yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So from what I've gotten is if for example it is a charge, you can have a discussion with the vendor, have them clear this charge if it has been charged against a loan, have them clear this charge and then get a property that is free. In an instance where, so you said in an instance whereby I find that the name of the vendor who's selling it to me and the person who's on the land search that I have done are not the same. Do I go back to this person and get to understand exactly why is the case like this? And you said the solution there, or the advice you will give to the investors, is for you to get a legal document, be it a sales agreement that really covers your head, that really says at this point I will be back to be able to see, like, and you will also update me on the milestones of the conversion of, or anything that is going on to ensure that that the real person who's selling it to me becomes the real owner of this property.
Yeah.
But in extreme cases, someone can just terminate the transaction.
Yeah.
If you have done your homework, not comfortable, or even if you have 3 extremes, like those are too many.
Those are too long.
Yeah, if
Yeah.
the name doesn't match.
Yeah.
If the name doesn't match, if the person who's selling to you is not the same person who owns this property, if it has something charged against it,
Yeah.
like if it's not the same size, like it's very different. What you're being sold for is A and what you're getting is B. If everything really doesn't tick out, you are allowed to comfortably just take a step back and say, not this time. Let me go back. Is it to do more research on this property, or maybe take out something else in the market, so that you're sure and you're not putting your hard-earned money somewhere you're not sure whether you're gonna get it back. So let's go back to the comment section.
Sure.
I can see Bernard Omondi who's saying watching as well. Thank you so much, Bernard. I can see Calvin Richu who's saying thank you for dissecting the searches for us. That's a great format. I can see Alice Mseri who's saying they're watching from Nairobi, Kenya. Thank you so much. I can see Florence Githaiga who's watching from Fort Hall. Thank you so much, Florence. I can see Gloria Moinde who's asking, hi, it's a super informative session. Are these searches only limited to land, or do they include sectional properties?
Okay, that's a very good question.
Yes.
So I think, of course, those who have interacted with Savo's webinars before,
Yes.
Sort of learned about sectional properties.
Yes.
And so at least the intention of now the new system in sectional properties is that once you want to obtain a search of a sectional property,
Yes.
you will still use the same process.
Yes, yes.
Because ideally then there are actually registers for each apartment.
Yes, yes,
And there are actually certificates of title or
Yes.
certificates of lease for each individual.
Yes, yes,
Each
yes.
individual apartment. So ideally with obtaining a search, yes,
Yes.
it will ideally work with even with sectional titles.
Yes.
Of course, both sectional titles and Adisasa are 2 new regimes.
Yes.
Which came up almost around the same time.
Yes.
So we actually not many developments have actually managed to get sectional titles.
Yes.
And I have at least in our experience, we haven't seen people successfully using Adisasa.
Yes.
Or at least it's still being operationalized.
Yes,
Let's be honest. So, but ideally, yes.
Yes.
It would work both for land and even for sectional properties.
Yes.
Even in a situation even before sectional titles.
Yes.
If, for example, in a development that was using a sublease system, you would still ideally get a search over the property, over the mother property and the mother title.
Yes.
And you would actually find that at the back of the title, there's usually entries that are made by the registry. So each person who buys an apartment is entered,
Yes.
so to speak, in the title as entry, for example, number 1,
Yes.
say lease to apartment this to so and so person on this date, and those entries are included.
Yes.
So if you, for example, are buying into maybe the previous sublease system, then you would notice on the mother title, all these entries are
Have
actually
been recorded.
have been recorded.
Yes, yes,
You'll
yes.
see various entries in the mother title. But
Yes.
to answer simply, yes,
Yes.
it will work with sectional properties, at least in our view.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, Glory, yes, it will work for sectional properties, and also in comparison to land for sectional properties, There's so much due diligence you can do. So please check out the webinar. It will be the webinar that we did on due diligence, which will be put on the comment section. So you can, so you can check. You can check and be able to understand, because you need to do due diligence on the developer. What's their track record really? Is this their first project? Do they have also something else to show? Has it been complete? You need to also do your site visit. So you have bought, for example, in Savo, you have bought a property, for example, in Sunset. Sunset is in Bingigwa. So you come to Coral and see what have they done before. You go to Sunset and see. So in Savo, we'll send you site updates, weekly site updates that tell you this is the project you have bought and this is how far we are in that project. So we'll tell you, we've casted 4th floor, we've casted 5th floor. It's your obligation, and I really encourage you to go on site and be able to see, have we really casted 4th floor? And also because we have diaspora investors, send a friend, send a sister, send a relative, a colleague to just come and check for you and to just ascertain. We also said in the due diligence webinar that we did that also do your due diligence on the founders and directors of a company. Who are they? Are they registered members of professional bodies? What's their track record as people? So that you're able to know, are these people who are really people of integrity? Because so that you know who are they really? Who are these people? Because if the directors do so much running of businesses on a day-to-day, so these are the people you really are trusting your money with. Who are they? So go and watch that webinar to be able to understand, other than doing a land search on sectional properties, what other searches do you do? Something very simple as, do these people have an office? Like, where do you find them next time? So just coming to their office, just seeing, ukweli, really there is an office. Really, this person who calls me and tells me I really have something I want to sell you, that they really do exist. You speak to them, and then, so please go and watch this webinar. Just get to understand all the forms of due diligence that you can do for sectional properties. Yes. I can see Nancy, who's retracted their question. You can send it again. I can see Wanjala Bongosa, who said locked in. This is a great discussion. Thank you so much, Lewis, for coming. I can see the professor who's saying missed a lot. If you can share recordings, kindly do. This video will be posted on our YouTube channel after this. So you can go and begin from the beginning, be able to understand. But also, if this has been if you feel like this is a high-level discussion, please go back to the due diligence webinar that I keep on referring to. It will lead up to the discussion that we are having now. I can see Jambi. Hi Jambi, who's dropped the fire emoji. Thank you so much. I can see Justus Bundi, who's also dropped the fire emoji. Thank you so much, Justus. I can see Glory, who's saying thank you so much for your answer. Thank you, Mr. Lewis. I can see Nancy, who's saying please address land sold by agents or advertisers. Can you do a search? Yes.
Okay, so I think to address Nancy's question, yes, you can do a search on any property in Kenya.
Yes.
Ideally, the only thing that you would need to make sure is that this agent, if it's whether you're getting the property from an agent,
yes,
whether you're getting the property from the actual vendor,
yes,
they actually give you a copy, yes, of the original title that they have.
Yes.
Because as I had explained earlier, this is going to be one of the documents that you will, with a manual system, that you will actually be submitting.
Yes, yes.
Even with this online system, you need to be aware of the parcel number.
Yes, yes, yes.
And this is usually written on the title itself.
Deed, yes.
As a purchaser, you'd want at least see a copy of the original title.
Yes.
So yes, property, no matter who is selling it, if it's the vendor themselves or they're working through an agent, yes, you can actually do a search on them.
Yes, so as part of your due diligence for whatever property you're buying, be it land, be it the sectional properties, be it what we sell here at Savo, please, we encourage you, if you want to do your homework, kindly request the person who's selling it to you, be it your fire partner here at Savo, to give you a copy of the title deed so that you're able to conduct your search. As we come to we're almost at the end of this. So I can also see June Esther, who's saying, thank you for a very informative session. So guys, as we wind up, you can also send in your questions as we're here to be able to assist and to walk you through your financial independence number. So as I said earlier, I encourage you guys to subscribe. As I said, we began this quarter, we said we're on the road to 3,000 subscribers. So many of you enjoy our content. So kindly do subscribe. ensure that you do not miss any content. You can also press the button so that it's able to remind you so that you don't miss any webinar that we do. As I had said earlier, we will be doing these webinars are weekly, very informative sessions for any one of you who wants to begin their FIRE journey, for any one of you who wants to start their financial independence journey and move from a space of consumerism and decide, I want to put my money somewhere so that my future looks better than my future looks better than my yesterday and my today. Lewis, at this point, I'd like you to, you had introduced yourself, said you're a lawyer at Fidel Mwaki Advocates, but just give our audience and investors a brief of what you do at Fidel Mwaki, where they can find you.
Yeah, so as I said earlier, I'm a lawyer at FMC Advocates. So we are a medium-sized law firm that's located in Westlands in Nairobi. We usually mainly do corporate law. We do commercial transactions.
Yes.
We do real estate transactions. We do anything to do with employment.
Yes.
Also family matters, we also handle that.
Yes.
We've also begun practice on tech law and privacy law.
Yes.
Considering the new provisions of law, we've also opened up practice on that. And also succession and estate management.
Yes, yes.
We also do that. And anything largely to do with sort of estate management or wealth management.
Yes.
That is either real estate. We usually also do that. So you're more than welcome to join us. We've been with Savo for quite a while now.
Yes, yes.
And we represent them in several of their projects.
Yes.
And we are more than happy to actually host you and actually have you visit our offices.
Yes.
And maybe learn more, not only on real estate, but on any legal queries that you may have.
Yes.
We are more than willing and ready to host you and welcome you to our offices. Our offices are at Carlson Towers. It's at the Crescent in Westlands in Nairobi. In case of any queries, you can reach us on email. I believe we will post one of the emails on the comment section.
Yes, yes.
But you can reach us on email, either me personally or the rest of the team.
Yes.
But we are more than ready and willing to help both investors regarding issues with Savo, with the projects that we actually handle.
Yes.
And even other legal queries that we may have. We've actually seen investors we've actually come up from Savo and they have legal questions, they want understanding. So yeah, we are more than ready to help.
Yes.
Yeah.
So here at Savo, we say we are passionate about enabling you as an investor achieve your financial independence journey. And we cannot do, one of our core values here at Savo is partnership. And we're not able to do all these things without the help of you guys. So just to appreciate you and to thank you for being part of our journey. As you said, you guys have been with us for a very long time. So we thank you. We thank you for even taking your time to be here with us and help us educate our investors. Thank you so much. You can reach Lewis or reach me in case of any queries further from this discussion or outside of this, and I'm able to assist and able to walk you through your financial independence journey. Also here at Savo, if you want to begin your journey, you can email or call any of your FIRE partners here at Savo, and you will be assisted. Until we meet again, guys, bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.